Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa et ha-Yam ha-Gadol Gadol Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa et ha-Yam ha-Gadol Gadol.
Welcome everybody to Shalvah this week, and this is the week that we are reading Parshat Noach, the story of Noah and the flood of the earth. And early on in the Torah last week, we read about the creation of the world, and in the creation, there in that first story, in the first chapter of the Torah, there's the idea that in some ways the sea came first, that the waters covered what was below and the waters covered what was above. And only when God made the land separated between the waters and the waters below and the waters above. The waters below became the sea, and the waters above became the sky. In the story of Noah, we have that time where God unmakes the world, and in unmaking the world, the land disappears. The rains come down, and the land is blotted out, and only Noah and his family and the animals in the ark ride on the surface of the sea, but they can't see the land. All they can see is the sea. And we can imagine Noah on the ark looking out at this undifferentiated water, the sea that covers everything, and maybe even being able to say a blessing. Because although there's something horrible about this story of the earth being blotted out, that Noah at least seems to see this as God's will. God created the world in the first place, and God can unmake the world. And so, this blessing that we traditionally say whenever we see the ocean or a sea is just acknowledging that power, that God was the one who made, God the one who spoke and created, and that among the many things that God created was the sea and all its power. And the sea is something that's beautiful and something that gives us life, gives us water, gives us fish and all sorts of life forms. And it's also something that's destructive. In the story of Noah, it's very destructive. So the ancient rabbis teach that when we look at something that has both creative power and destructive power, we have to understand it as both. And that applies to the sea, it applies to tools that human beings make, it applies to forces in the world like fire. All of these things have great potential for good, and all of them have great potential for destructiveness. And the rabbis taught that we bless the good, and we bless also that destructive power. We can't accept one without the other. So in remembering the story of Noah this week, we bless the sea that destroyed, but also the sea that gave way for the land to come back as it was at the beginning, and then made it possible for humans to once again live on the earth. And in our own lives, we mostly encounter power in forms that can be productive and creative, and in forms that can be destructive. And we have to appreciate both sides of that equation. It would be wonderful to see the world and see only the power of creation in it, but we know that's a half way of looking at the world, not its full potential. And although it's a difficult thing to attach the idea of God to destruction as well as to creation, that's what Jewish tradition asks us to do. It's not to say that there's a force of creativity and goodness and that's God, and then there may be some other force of destruction and evil, and that's some other force, but to say that there's only one source. There's only one source of power. There's only one source of creativity. There's only one source for destructive power. All of that has its root in God. And apparently, this is the way the world needed to be, or at least the way God chose to create it, that the world we know, all of the power in it can be turned to multiple ends. And that's why it's so important for us to think about how are we using the power that we have. How are we seeing the immensity of human power, which is big and has that great potential for both sides of the equation? How are we channeling that power? How are we trying to turn it toward good? And how are we trying to undercut its ability to destroy and highlight its ability to create in our lives? So hard to affect how other people use their power, but we do at least have some control over our own. And when we can accept that we have the potential to create or to destroy, it gives us a sense of our own responsibility to use that power well and to see the beauty in it and to be able to say a blessing that that power was given to the world, that was given to us, and that we can turn it towards good ends in the same way that we can see the ocean and see its power as something good and productive in the world.
Okay, so taking that teaching and applying it to our own thoughts and feelings, and just bringing awareness to what those thoughts and feelings are without judgment is going to be the goal of this meditation. So finding a comfortable way to sit, feeling your feet on the ground from the tips of your toes to your heels, all the way through the balls of your feet, the arches, all of your, side to side, the tops of your feet, really becoming present in your body. Feeling your hands resting, releasing any tension in your hands, in your feet, in your belly. And beginning to bring awareness to your breath. Noticing where you feel your breath most. Is it in your chest, your belly, or do you feel it in your nostrils, coming in through the back of your throat? Wherever you feel it, just notice. Let your breath become the anchor that's going to help keep you in the moment. But when your attention wanders, which it will, That's okay. Just try to observe where it goes. And then as soon as you find yourself in a thought, tangled in a feeling, just name it and find yourself awake and bringing yourself back to your breath. So remembering not to judge your thoughts. Whatever they are, they're fine. You're just observing where your mind is today, right now. And then if you can observe what it feels like in that moment when you discover that your attention has wandered from your breath, we get to know, we get more familiar with that feeling of being present, being awake. So those are really wonderful opportunities. If you hear sounds outside, you can just name them and let them go. Coming back to your breath. And if the pull of thoughts is particularly strong today, that's okay too. You can choose to focus on those and bring your mindfulness and your awareness to those thoughts. You can follow those consciously for as long as that feels like it's the most present thing for you. And if and when you're ready, you can shift your attention back to your breath. Remembering not to judge yourself for whatever thoughts you might be having or feelings. And if you are judging yourself, notice that too. What is the quality of your breath right now? You don't need to change it. Just notice what it is. Is it shallow or deep? Is it slow or fast? Where's the beginning of your breath? What does it feel like at the point where the inhalation changes to the exhalation? And if the breath is eluding you and is difficult to focus on, you can always bring yourself back into your body. Remembering that our attention is like those fall leaves that get carried away by the wind. If you notice a thought carrying your attention away, just gently let it go. Bring yourself back to your breath or your body, or follow that thought, but follow it with mindfulness and awareness. Whatever you're choosing, let it help you bring you more deeply into this moment. We're going to spend the last couple of minutes taking this to a place of relaxation. These next couple of weeks are very charged for us, so now that we're more clear on where our minds are today, again, bringing your attention to your bodies. Taking a couple of really deep breaths. Sending breath and release to any place in your body that feels tense. Sending compassion to yourself, to your body for wherever it's carrying stress. Using these last couple of minutes to really provide nurturing to yourself And just doing a gentle body scan, starting with the top of your head. Noticing any tension around your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw, the muscles around your mouth. Relaxing in the back of your head, around your ears, just feeling everything kind of melt just a little or a lot. Your neck and your throat. Imagining like a thick honey filling up your body as you move down to your tops of your shoulders. That honey filling up your arms all the way down to the fingertips. It's heavy and slow. All the way down your torso. Into your waist and seat. Very tops of your thighs and hamstrings, and all the way down to your knees. Your calves. That honey filling up your ankles and all the way down to your toes. Feeling everything more loose, like the comfort of a weighted blanket or an eye pillow over your eyes. Just letting go. And when you're ready, letting the light of the room back in, opening up your eyes. And we'll spend a couple of minutes chanting together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa et ha-Yam ha-Gadol, Gadol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa et ha-Yam ha-Gadol, Gadol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa et ha-Yam ha-Gadol, Gadol. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa et ha-Yam ha-Gadol Gadol.
Wish you a good week, feeling the calmness of our bodies, the power that we have, and the ability to channel that power in the direction we want it to go. May we see ourselves that way, like the sea, powerful, calm, and able to be channeled in the right direction.
Koach, Nina, and